These basic motions of loom can be understood with the help of diagram. And to understand this basic motions like primary and secondary motions, in the previous two classes, we have taken a very simple diagram just to focus on these two types of motions. But we will take an elaborate or a more another diagram in which we will try to cover some of the auxiliary motions also, and these primary motions and secondary motions in detail. So first, because in the beginning, I have taken a very simple diagram so that you can understand it in a very easy manner. But now we will take a specific diagram which we will use for the theory part and which we will use to understand these motions in details. So that this part, primary motions in this is covered in first unit, second unit, and the secondary motions are covered in third unit. But third unit is mix of some other topics like this introduction of non-conventional looms, because basically we will start with shuttle looms, which are known as conventional looms. Conventional means old technology. पुराने जो looms हैं, उनको हम बोलते हैं conventional looms. So all the shuttle looms are coming in the category of conventional looms, and all the shuttle-less looms, which are modern machines, which are having higher production, higher quality of the fabric, they are known as shuttle-less looms, or they are known as this non-conventional or unconventional looms. So we will take a brief introduction about unconventional looms. We will go into details of conventional or shuttle looms, but we will take a brief introduction about the non-conventional looms, which are in which we are not using shuttle as the weft carrier. Except shuttle, we are using some other weft insertion methods depending on the type of loom. Like if it is projectile loom, instead of shuttle, we are using small projectiles to insert the weft. If it is rapier looms, we are using rapier to insert the weft. And if it is jet looms, in that case, we are using two types of jets. One is water jet, another is air jet. So depending on type of weft insertion method, we can classify the looms into different categories that we are going to cover in the second unit. And in third unit, as I already mentioned, we will take these non-conventional and secondary motions. The fourth unit is basically for quality of the fabric, and quality of the fabric can be determined by fabric defects. If it is zero defects fabric, we will say it is the best quality fabric, and if more defects are created in the fabric or are introduced in the fabric or are generated in the fabric at the time of manufacturing of fabric by the mistake of any person or by the quality of the yarn or quality of the fiber we are using, due to any reason, if defects are occurring in the fabric, then it is known as inferior quality of the fabric, which is getting very low cost in the market. So we will study about fabric defects so that you can know how the fabric defects can be avoided. And then we will take, in the fourth unit, we are taking some calculations related with production of loom. And the most important calculation is weight of fabric, which we are measuring or calculating in grams per square meter or grams per linear meter. And this term is very useful because most of the parameters of processing or finishing are calculated on the basis of its quality weight. Quality weight means GSM, grams per square meter, or the grams per running meter, whatever we are using. Accordingly, we are determining the ratio or recipes of the chemicals used in the processing department. And that parameter is very useful for textile chemistry students. So we will go into details of the calculations, how we calculate weight of war, then weight of weft. And by adding these two weights, we can get weight per linear meter or weight in grams per running meter. And we can convert it into grams per square meter also. We will take specifications of some important fabrics, which are most widely used in the industry. And we will try to understand in a very simple manner how we can calculate set of the fabric. Set means EPI and PPI, that is combinedly known as set of fabric. And these two are very important parameters which are going to influence the many properties of fabrics. That's why we will calculate, we will try to find out how we can decide EPI and PPI in the fabric. What are the parameters which are going to affect these EPI and PPI in the fabric. And finally, fifth unit is again very important for you people, because in that unit we are going to study fabric structure. Fabric structure means how the warp threads and weft threads are interlaced with each other, how the warp threads and weft threads are arranged in the fabric, and that is resulting in a weave. We are getting a particular weave, and on the basis of weave, many parameters for processing are determined. So that is also very important part. So we will take the basic views, we will try to cover the basic views and some of the important derivatives of the basic views in the fifth unit. So in this way, the syllabus is divided into 5 units, and this syllabus, the details of the syllabus can make clear to you that how this subject is important for you students, because you will study about this weaving or fabric structure or weaving preparatory or fabric defects and calculations related with weaving only in this subject in this semester. And on the basis of this subject and on the basis of the PTM first, in which you have studied about the yarn manufacturing and textile fiber, on the basis of all these subjects, you will get the idea about the raw material which is used in the fabric. And because fabric is a raw material for you students, for the chemistry students, fabric which we are basically the fabric, sometimes we are also using yarn or fiber as a raw material, but most of the time, particularly for woven fabrics, the fabrics are the raw material for the processing persons or chemistry persons. So the knowledge of the fabric, as well as because the fabric is constructed or produced with yarns, so knowledge of yarns, and yarns are produced with the raw material that is textile fiber. So knowledge of textile fiber or spinning and weaving is very, very important. And particularly the parameters related with fibers, like its moisture regain, its tenacity, its elasticity, which we have studied in textile fibers. These are the important properties of the fiber. Similarly, about the yarn, what is the count of the yarn, what is the blend of the yarn, and what is the twist in the yarn, what direction of twist we are using in the yarn. All these are the important parameters of yarn which will be required for chemistry students. The knowledge of those parameters is very important for you students. And finally, the fabric. So in the fabric, what are the ends per inch in the fabric, picks per inch in the fabric, what type of yarn we have used in the warp, what type of yarn we have used in the weft, and what type of weave we are using, means what is the structure of that fabric. That is also very important. What type of patterning we are using in the fabric, in patterning what type of yarns we are using, and what is the weight of the fabric, what is the weight of warp, and what is the weight of wave. All these are very, very important parameters for you students to apply the chemistry part on the raw material, that is fiber, yarn, or fabric. So please be very sincere and regular in the class. The scope of this subject is very, very important as far as your whole syllabus is concerned. So I will repeat again, please be regular in the class and try to take the notes. Keep a separate register for PTM second along with you when you are joining the class. Pen and paper you keep with yourself, and whatever the things generally I'm explaining or I'm speaking, you can take the notes also. Some PPTs also sometimes PPTs also I will share, but many things are there which are out beyond the PPTs, and just I'm explaining in front of you. So you can also simultaneously, you can make the notes in your own way. And if you find some difficulty with the speed or pace, you can stop me or you can ask me to repeat the things. Then it will be more communicative class. It will be more, I will be able to communicate maximum to you students. Because in the previous semester also, I have taught you one subject, textile fiber, but that was a theoretical subject. And if I have shared the PPTs, then also you can study those things. But this is more practical subject. Few units are very, very practical, in which regular attendance in the class is must. Because like when I will teach you fabric structure or calculations, all these things, then it will not be clear to you just by observing, just by seeing the notes or PPTs or this PDF all that things will not be enough for you. So please, and also many mechanisms we are going to cover into this. So if you attend the class and you get the things or you get the concepts about that mechanism or working of that machine, then it will be more beneficial to you, and it will be easy to understand when you have the notes with you. So please keep all these points in your mind and be regular in the class. Today we are again we'll repeat in the same topic, but in a more systematic manner. So students, name of the subject is Principle of Textile Manufacturing Second. This is taught in 4th semester of Textile Chemistry branch. My name already you know, KG Badada, Krishna Gopal Badada. I'm working as an assistant professor in Manikilal Verma Textile and Engineering College. And one more thing about me, I have passed out from the same college. I have done my BTech in 1995 from the same college. Yes, already we have taken this definition. What is weaving? So I will just repeat it. Weaving is a process by which weft threads are interlaced with the warp threads to produce a product known as woven fabric on a machine called loom or weaving machine. This definition already we have covered, but the students who are coming first time, they can just understand this. Weaving is a process in which or by which we are interlacing two series of threads. One is known as warp threads, another is known as weft threads. And when the warp threads are interlaced with weft threads, it is resulting in a product, or it is producing a product which is known as woven fabric. And this process is taking place on a machine that is called weaving machine or loom. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first we are taking a brief classification of weaving machines. Weaving machine means loom. And this classification is on the basis of actual methods of weft insertion. So which type of method of weft insertion we are using, accordingly, or on the basis of that, we are classifying the weaving machines basically into two categories, mainly into two categories. As I have mentioned earlier, one is shuttle looms and another is shuttle lace looms. So shuttle looms means the looms in which for the weft insertion, we are using shuttle, or we are using shuttle as the weft carrier. Then those looms are known as or termed as shuttle looms. And the looms in which we are using some other mechanism or some other weft carrier or weft insertion method instead of shuttle, then those are put in the category of shuttle lace looms. Shuttle looms are further categorized or divided into three categories: hand looms, power looms, and automatic looms. As the name suggests, hand looms, which are operated by hand and feet of the weaver. वीवर के हाथ और पैर को यूज करते हुए जिस लूम को हम ऑपरेट करते हैं, that loom is known as or put in the category of hand looms. It was previously used, but nowadays also for certain fabrics in which we want to produce elaborated designs, still hand looms are used, and they are having their specific space in the industry. For some particular qualities or some particular fabrics, hand looms are preferred. However, production is very less, but still due to quality concept, we are using hand looms for certain uses or for certain fabrics. Second is power looms, in which we are using power, we are using electricity to operate the loom, then it is known as power looms. And third one is automatic looms, in which the weft changes or the changes of the weft packages is done automatically, then it is known as automatic looms. Because in case of power looms, the weft package is not changed automatically, and for that reason we have to stop the loom whenever the weft is exhausted. So whenever the pern is exhausted, we have to stop the loom, or we have to change the pern, and then we again start the loom. So to make it more automatic, we are having automatic looms, and which are of two types. One is bobbin change, other is shuttle change. In first case, we are changing the pern. Bobbin जो बोल रहे हैं, that is used for pern. So pern change or bobbin change, and another is shuttle change. In that we change the shuttle. But in first case, we are not changing the shuttle. We are keeping the same shuttle, but inside the shuttle, the pern is changed. And these are the two types of automatic looms. Then shuttle-less looms are further categorized into 4 categories. One is gripper machines, also known as projectile machines, in which we are using projectiles or grippers, which are very small device as compared to shuttle. And that's why we require very less shed height. And due to that, we can go for higher speeds of the loom, which is not possible in shuttle looms. These gripper machines are further categorized into 2 categories. One is single projectile and another is multiple projectiles. So in single projectile, we are using only one projectile, which is taking the weft from one side to other side. But in multiple projectiles, we are using number of projectiles which are performing this process continuously. Rapier machines are further categorized into 2 categories. One is single rapier and another is double rapier. So as the name, from the name, it is clear. In the single rapier machines, we are using single rapier, which is moving from one side of the loom to the other side to insert the weft. But in double rapier, one rapier is moving from left side, another rapier is moving from right side. They are meeting at the middle of the fabric, and weft exchange is taking place. एक ग्रिपर से दूसरे ग्रिपर में वेफ्ट एक्सचेंज होता है, तो एक ग्रिपर आधे हाफ तक जाएगा, दूसरा ग्रिपर हाफ तक जाएगा, and they will move again towards their original positions. Double rapiers are further categorized into 2 categories: rigid rapiers and flexible rapiers, depending on the quality of the rapier. If it is rigid type of rapier, it is known as rigid rapier, and if it is flexible, means it can bend, it means it is known as flexible rapier looms. Jet machines are categorized into 2 categories depending on the material we are using. Like we are using air, then it is known as air jet machines. And if you are using water for the weft insertion, then it is known as water jet machines. And the last type is multi-phase machines. And multi-phase machines are totally having different concepts as compared to all these machines. In this, number of shades are formed simultaneously. In other machines, at a time, only one shade is formed and one pig is inserted. But in multi-phase looms, simultaneously 3-4 shades can be opened, and at a time 3-4 pigs are inserted, which is enhancing the speed of loom drastically. And they are of 2 types. One is circular type, another is flat type. So this is a basic classification of weaving machines on the basis of actual methods of weft insertion. Basic mechanisms of a plain loom. What are the basic mechanisms used to work in synchronization with each other to produce the final product known as woven fabric on the machine known as loom? And the loom is a machine, which already we have taken in the previous definition, but another definition. The loom is a machine made up of several mechanisms and motions which are timed and are required to operate in a proper sequence. जो भी motions और जो भी mechanism हम use कर रहे हैं, उनकी एक particular timing होती है, and they all are synchronized with each other कि फर्स्ट ये मोशन ऑपरेट करेगा, सेकंड ये करेगा, थर्ड ये करेगा, या these motions will work parallel to each other. All these mechanisms or motions are synchronized with each other, and that is known as timing of the motions. And that is a very important phenomena of any machine that is having a particularly timing circle or timing diagram, in which all the mechanisms and motions are working accordingly. So these basic mechanisms we can classify into different categories. So classification of motions, and in this classification we are classifying the weaving motions mainly into 3 categories. One is primary motions, second one is secondary motions, and third one is auxiliary motions. And these are further categorized into different categories. So primary motions are the motions which are having more, which are, as far as importance is concerned, they are most primary. Means their importance is the most, it is the maximum importance if we compare all other motions. Means it is primary in importance. These are essential motions without which weaving is not possible. So that's why they are known as primary motions, and they are further categorized into 3 categories. First, shading, second, picking, B, picking, and third, that is indicated by C, beating up. And they are defined here. Shading means formation of shed. As I explained earlier, the warp threads are divided into 2 layers. And when the warp threads are divided into 2 layers, top layer and bottom layer, with the help of hill frames or some other shading mechanism, then it is forming the shade. So this formation of shade is known as shading. The separation of warp threads into 2 layers, upper and lower, top and bottom, forming a shed or a tunnel through which the weft is passed or through which the weft is introduced. So this tunnel or this shade is formed by the mechanism or by the motion that is known as shedding motion. And the mechanism which is responsible for this is known as shedding mechanism. Picking means the insertion of the weft through the shade. Means when the shade is open, with the help of some weft insertion device, we are inserting the weft thread or a pick through the open shade, and that process is known as shed picking. And the mechanism which is responsible to perform picking is known as picking mechanism. And different type of picking mechanisms are used on the loom, from which we will study some of the picking mechanism in detail. Beating up, which is third primary motion, that is pushing the last inserted weft thread to the cloth fail. जो last pick insert हुआ है warp के बीच में, warp के दोनों layers के बीच में, उसको fell of the cloth तक push करना, beat करना, that is the function of beating up mechanism, which is third primary motion of loom. So we have taken introduction of motions of loom. First, primary motions, these 3: shading, picking, and beating up. The next portion we will cover in the next class. If you have any questions, you can come with the questions in the next class. First, we will solve the questions, and then we will start the topic. We will proceed with the remaining topic. Thank you so much. पार्थ स्क्रीनशॉट आप लेते रहना याद रख करके, ठीक है?
Okay.